I've done quite a lot of counted cross stitch over the years, and so I've got some over here to look at. One of the things that I started doing, and I really like the way it works, is using fabric instead of mat board and sewing it on. I sew it on by hand so that I can get it exactly into the holes on the cloth. And then there's thin quilt batting behind it, and that puffs it out a little bit, makes like a frame within a frame. And using the fabric allows me much greater choice to pick up colors. And I also have these various textures, so I can pick up this little yellow flower and pick it up into this fabric border. Here's another one that I think really works well. This is not a very large piece of fabric, but it lets me, this border lets me pick up both the colors and the feel, the texture of the piece by putting, like you're looking through some shrubbery at this piece. And then this thick, heavy frame can go around it. Here's another one that I used some green leaves with. Most of the things I've done have been dimensions kits, but this one, this heart wreath, is Bucilla. And so you can see how it picks up the leaves and the leaves there. And the other thing that using the fabric does is it allows me to use standard size frames for non-standard size pieces. Some of the pieces that come in the kits, the fabric is just really, really strange sizes. And so now this one, it picks up a color. There's not much purple in here when you look at it, but there's a little bit in a couple places. And then I picked that out. And I also decided to do a little different corner on this. Instead of mitering the corner, I used overlapping corners. So it gives you a chance to do some interesting things. And this is one that I think came out really well. This is Deer in the Winter. I think this one is a Dimensions Gold. It's pretty popular. I've seen a lot of people in the cross-stitch groups posting these. And I like the way that this fabric looks sort of like autumn leaves. And then you're looking at the deer, and it picks up the kind of reddish-brown tints in the deer themselves, and then going to the white with the frame. That's also a standard size frame. Most of my frames come from thrift stores, charity resale shops, but this one came from Michael's, I believe it was, but it was a very inexpensive standard frame. And this is another one that I think worked really well. This was one of my more adventurous ones. Another, I believe, Dimensions Gold. And I think that this time I used a sort of, it would be like a velveteen or something. It's slightly soft and fuzzy, and I gathered it as I sewed it on. So it gives it a plush look, which I think goes well with the rather plush-looking clothing, the cape or coat, I guess it is, because it has sleeves, of the central figure. And of course it's picking up browns. And here's one. This one's a little bit simpler, but again, it's got some colors in there that I wanted to pick up, and it allows me to use a standard size frame. And one more over here. This one was really helpful to be able to use a standard size frame because it's a very short, wide picture, and it would have been pretty pricey to get a frame made for it. So this is one of the reasons I have these out here, because I picked this up to dust it and found out that I had neglected to attach it to the frame. So I thought, I better bring that over here to the table and do that. And this is one of the early ones I did, back when I was still putting glass on them. But this is done with fabric. It's fabric behind glass. And again, I use a little a little batting or other material to puff it up a little and make a frame within a frame on these. So that's what I need to do, is get these firmly. Oh, there's one more over here. This one is the can't remember. I think it's from a brand that is it's part of the same company that makes Dimensions, but they call it something different. And I picked that up at Walmart one evening when I was kind of bored and looking for something to do. And in this case, because the design is long and narrow, I just bordered two sides of it, and I happened to find in a resale shop a lovely green frame that needed a little repair but was usable, and so I think that worked out well. So here's some tape, and what I need to do is tape these guys on the back so that they don't pop out. This is what I usually do, and I couldn't find some packaged strapping tape at the time, so I used Christmas wrapping tape on it, but it works. And what this is foam board, and after I sew the piece to here, I actually flip this up and stretch it out, stretch the center out, and staple it down into the foam board. And that's how I can be able to use big frames with small pieces, because they're actually stapled to the foam board. And you know, some expert framers would probably not like that, but you know, it's mine. So there we go. And so some of these over here are the ones that I neglected to tape in place, and I'm going to be doing that. So okay, so that's my little tour of some of my counted cross stitch.